to welcome everyone to Candidates Night. I'm Charlie Sorensen, your moderator for this evening. And on behalf of the League, I'd first like to thank the Cle Elum Centennial Center for once again providing this space for us and the refreshments in the back, so if you need coffee, stay away, or water, there's plenty back there. We've been doing Candidates Nights forums for the county since 1980. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the League, we are a nonprofit, nonpartisan, grassroots organization that never supports or opposes individual candidates or political parties. Frankly, we don't care how you vote, we just want you to vote. Our goals in hosting these events is simply to educate voters about candidates as they stand for election and their position on issues that matter to you. Tonight's forum will focus on candidates from the Fire District 7 Commissioner race, Water District 7, and Roslyn Mayor. We were informed only last week that Water District 5 candidates have both decided not to attend. So we're sorry for any confusion that may have occurred from this, and if you're here for Water District 5, I'm really sorry they're not going to answer questions tonight. For the first 15 minutes, we'll proceed with Fire District 7 candidates and questions, take a short break, and reset our recording because we are once again live streaming to Facebook. Hi, everybody. So when we pause, we will allow the candidates to step off. The Water District candidates will come up, and we'll reset the recording and keep going. We will post our voter's guide on our website at kittitasleague.org on October 18th. Our voter's guide is for local contested elections and ballot issues. We link to campaign websites, financial filings, the videos that we're doing right now, candidate bios, and candidate questionnaires. So it's like a one-stop place to find out lots of information about people running for office. We also thank you in advance for remaining civil and courteous during tonight's event. So the format is each candidate gets 2 minutes for an opening statement to allow them to provide you with their qualifications and background. Then you, the audience, will be given an opportunity to ask written questions of the candidates. League volunteers will come around and hand you a card and a pen, so just put your hand up if you would like to submit a question. Please be clear and to the point, and please, please, please print. We will continue asking questions until our time is up. Candidates get a 1-minute response. In the subsequent 2 races, the candidates may have a 30-second rebuttal. There's only 1 rebuttal per question allowed. We're going to rotate the order in which candidates answer questions. So let me know if I screw that up. So we don't want to make the same candidate answer first every time. And then closing, the candidates will have a 1-minute closing statement. The League of Women Voters records and retains a full unedited copy of all candidates' nights forums. If any portion or portions of tonight's event are redistributed out of context to make a candidate appear to say something they did not say, or are edited specifically to make a candidate look bad, or in any way they do not legitimately look at the original forum, then the League of Women Voters will alert the media, provide the unedited video for comparison, and file appropriate complaints with any applicable governing authority. So don't push it, Kate. At this time, we'd like you to turn off your cell phones, and we'll start with Fire District 7 Commissioner 1 race. Tonight's candidates are Russ Hobbs, and the other candidate is Bob Cernick, who's the incumbent and couldn't be here tonight. He's asked his wife to make an opening statement on his behalf, and we'll start with her. Debbie?
Well, like she said, I'm Debbie Cernick, and I'm here to represent my husband, Robert, or Bob Cernick, and let you know a little bit about him and why he wants to continue serving as Commissioner for Fire District 7. Bob is a lifetime resident of the Upper Kittitas County, and we raised our family here. We're very proud to be a part of this community. After 30 years of service with the State Department of Transportation, Bob has retired as maintenance supervisor. So Bob's been a volunteer firefighter for over 35 years. and he served as commissioner for District 7 for over 20 years. He knows firsthand all the changes, or many of the changes and challenges the district has faced. There have been many changes in our community and on the demands of the fire district. Increased population, number of travelers coming through, and the number of wildfires we have. For over 20 years, Bob has helped the district adjust and adapt to these changes, always keeping the district's people's safety in mind. Life in the Upper County will continue to change. We must be proactive, meeting these changes, not reactive. Bob has a visionary leadership to take District 7 forward. For decades, District 7 has been served by an all-volunteer force. But these volunteers are the backbone of the district. Our volunteers are incredible, but the demands of their jobs and families impact their availability to answer the call. And so, the last couple of years, Fire District 7 evolved into a combined force, volunteer, professional-based district. I can vouch for Bob being financially conservative. I assure you, your tax dollars are not flippantly spent by my husband. We know not the future, but I do know that Bob will continue to serve and ensure that Fire District 7 will always have more than just adequate resources. Who knows? The life they are saving may be your own. My husband, Robert Cerny, is committed to serve in the best interest of all constituents by placing every one of you and public safety first. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Before you start, Russ, I wanted to ask the audience to please hold any applause until we call for it. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Haas.
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to extend my appreciation for letting us be here and for the work that you do. And I want to take just a minute to say that Bob Cernick and I have been friends for many, many years. We are one day apart. I'm getting older and more mature, of course, but one day we love to keep each other on time. And Bob has truly done an exceptionally good job as a commissioner. Been very prudent about how he's been money. I will agree with him. Both of us are very conservative. We're almost like twin brothers in that respect. So, why am I running? Well, one, I didn't expect Bob to run. The last couple of years have been pretty tough for the fire department. We are rebuilding at this point, and actually things are turning around pretty rapidly. So, I think all of us were a little surprised that Bob decided to run again after 18 years. I had actually served under Bob as the fire chief for 8 years and 3 years as assistant chief. And again, we got along just great. So what value do I bring to the table? Well, I've been a professional firefighter for a little over 44 years. I've been a fire chief for 8 years, and I have served the community, this community, day and night during that period of time. I'm currently serving as a volunteer battalion chief and the training officer for the district. So my commitment is really equal to Bob. So as a fire chief, I had a lot of time working on budgets, understanding the financial ability of the department. We were pretty solvent, and I had a really good relationship with our people. So those are the things I bring to the table, and again, thank you for letting me be here tonight.
Thank you. For audience members, because Mr. Cernick cannot be here tonight, his surrogate is permitted to make an opening statement only. She will not be allowed to answer the questions. Okay, so the first question, Russ. How would you improve Fire District 7's communications with the community that it serves?
That one actually is pretty easy because that's on the top of my list. I don't think the commissioner can serve appropriately without having some open line of communication with the people who serve. I'm actually here to listen to what you have to say and based on what I understand, to make decisions that support the community. I have a lot of history, and of course, with that comes, I have my own way I'd like to see things, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to serve the community. So having an email, open site, having open forums like this, I think is the only way to truly serve the community.
Thank you. Question? What would be the district's plan if the merger with KVFR does not go through? And could you tell us what KVFR is?
Absolutely. Kittitas Valley Fire and Rescue is basically Ellensburg, who then merged with Fire District 2, which is the surrounding urban area, and then recently with the town of Kittitas. So there is discussion right now. In fact, their chief is serving as our temporary chief and doing a good job. And if we do merge with them, we'll just become one big organization. If that doesn't happen, we will continue. We are the second largest fire department in the county, and we have the ability to serve our community. Again, we are rebuilding, and that is going well at this time. Thank you. But KVFR is a long way away, so we have to make a decision based on what the community wants.
Thank you. What is your long-term plan for Fire District 7?
That one I wish you hadn't asked. So while I may have opposing differences with one of the commissioners who happens to be in this room tonight, I really am proud of Fire District 7. We had really grown to be the #1 fire department in the Upper County. People looked at us from all the communities when there was anything that needed, when they needed help, we were always there to help them, and we were proud to be able to do that. Not always did we have the best relationship, because there's always a little bit of competitive relationship between fire departments, and we're hoping to get past that. What I really like to see is a merger of the Upper County fire departments, because it makes more sense.
Thank you. It looks like this is going to be the last one, because we're almost at 7:15. Some in the community served by Fire District 7 have lost trust in the district. How would you rebuild that?
So let me just say that I retired a couple of years ago, and since then I've been a volunteer, and for a few months I stepped down. And the reason I stepped down is because things were not going good and we needed to pay attention to that fact. That has all changed. The department has turned around. We are moving forward almost back to where we were before. And so what I would like to see is that the department continue to look forward to the community, to see what the community's expectations are, because we can provide a lot of service, but the more service you provide, the more costs that are involved. So we need to find out where the community says, this is the level of service we want, and this is what we're willing to pay for. And so we will be asking for a levy increase. I think it's going to be pretty moderate based on the economy, but to continue to move forward and to save the firefighters that we have hired, we're going to have to come to you and explain why we need that money. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like you to go ahead and make your closing remarks.
Well, in that case, my closing remarks are, I think Bob is a really good man, and has done a great job, and I want to thank him for his time, and I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you tonight. And if I appear to be a little nervous, it's because I am.
Thank you. Please join me. Thank you so much. At this time, we're going to take a short break to allow the Water District 7 candidates to come forward and reset our video. A brochure from the back at our table. Also, the candidates have put their literature at the back table if you want to look at their information. And there's still time to register to vote or to update your voting address. That can be done online until October 28th. Mr. Swanson had not responded to my recent contacts, but that happened in the primary, and I was hoping come. We're going to give them a couple minutes because I had said in our email to all of the candidates that this one would start at, did I tell you? Yeah, 7:20-ish, in case he's late.
I actually extended a personal invitation.
That's right.
Roger.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Running for Water District 7 Commissioner are Roger Swanson and Mike Bloodshot. Mike, we'd like you to go ahead and make your opening statement.
Thank you. Thank you for everybody being in attendance. My name is Mike Bloodshot. I'm a retired automotive technician. As far as qualifications go, I've had a lot of leadership experience. I've been involved with apartment ecology, certified for 20 years in home repair. I participate in the annual meetings that they have, or the monthly meetings for the water district. I got to know the various council people and asked a lot of questions. I've been able to oversee some of the repairs that have gone on and learn firsthand just the day-to-day operation that goes on in the water district. And it's a very important for our future. Water is the number one commodity that we have to protect, and conservation is one way to do it. That's it.
Thank you. We had originally budgeted about 45 minutes for two candidates back and forth, so we might not make your reasons, right? Okay, here's your first question. In your view, what did Water District 7 do right during the recent moratorium, and what could it do to improve?
Oh, the recent moratorium, the water district was proactive in the beginning. It was a very long process to do all the water plan and the work that goes behind it, all the research and what have you. And unfortunately, some people kind of jumped the gun. As things were being resolved, they kind of made a big issue out of something that was actually being worked on very diligently. As far as what they did wrong, I guess the only difficulty is trying to get information out to people. Some communication travels amongst individuals, but they don't really go to the source to get the information. If they would just go to the source and attend the meetings, I think they would be a little more reserved, a little more careful in their assertions.
Thank you. Given that it's the 21st century and that the district must comply with open meeting laws and also submit to a state audit every 3 years, isn't it past time that it have a website for the minutes and audit results to be posted so it's more easily accessed?
Actually, that's been talked about in meetings, and is very important. Communication, I think, is key, just so people are all on board and they know what's going on, because we're all invested in it. It's not just individuals, it's everybody. I don't know quite what all the assignments are as far as the different councilmen, but I know someone has to take that mantle as far as actually getting information out there. And I know there's been talk about a website, and not just Facebook, but an actual web page we can go to that would have both rules, regulations, and minutes.
Thank you. Why do you want to be a water commissioner?
Well, how about for my kids? This is water is such a precious commodity. I think we take it for granted that water is just available. It's at the tap. You just go tap and turn on. There it is. But there's a lot of restrictions. We're in a situation where we're building so fast and we're already over allocated. So how do you get water for all those individuals if you're already over allocated? And that's where I know the water banks, all that stuff. There's so much going on behind the scenes, and that it's all online. You can research all this stuff. But conservation and metering is probably going to be the way to the future if we want our kids to have, a sustainable water supply.
That's sort of leads me into this next question. It says, the recent moratorium on water hookups was the result of a temporary permit issued by DOE in 1993 to allow an increase from a limit of 40 gallons a minute to 150 gallons a minute. If elected to the district, would you advocate returning to the lower rate to save water?
No, actually, you need a fairly substantial withdrawal rate if you're going to have multiple hookups or an increase in hookups. There is a limitation. It had been since for a long time there was a lot of cases that were being mitigated, and so the water district was limited as to what they could do as far as instrumenting the water plant and getting a permanent water status. And so the temporary 150 gallons. What they found was the water operator had been very instrumental, I think, in asking people to conserve to the point that they actually have not overused the water. And I think it needs to be increased as far as if we're going to get at some day in the future, get the additional hookups for the properties that are there. I hope I answered it. So. Thank you.
How does a water commissioner assure fairness with regard to the water access rate?
It's regulated. There is no preference. There's no nobody gets water access more preferably over anybody else. It's first come, first served. I think one of the big questions they have as far as when you're getting your building permit, when you have water, you can have water. As long as it's within the 225 water hookups. But you get your water quality affidavit, you can apply for it, but it's only good for 1 year. And so if you don't build on it within that time, you lose it. So.
If you're elected to the Water District Board, what do you want to see changed?
Just get the communication. Just make sure that we get people in the community to actually attend the meetings, and so they can know what's going on. Have a web page so it's available for people, but just have people be invested in the water program, because that's the only way it's you can feel like you're getting a return on your investment. I think so.
Thank you. Do you think fire insurance rates will go down when the upgraded system is in place and the satellite fire department is finished?
Well, I'll tell you what, that is a big deal. I don't know anybody that doesn't want the satellite for the fire department. I know I want it. And one of the things that I think that's most important right now, we've looked at what not the restrictions, but the deficiencies in the systems are. It's an old system. It does need maintenance. It does need updating. And we really want to push to have a modern and efficient system so everybody gets clean water and sufficient water, and enough to where we can actually provide what the water tankers need, for the fire department. I think it would bring our fire insurance down, because as it is right now, we're at the high end of the scale, and we need to run down a couple of points. So.
Thank you. Some of these questions are probably going to be familiar from the primary.
Okay.
Given increasing demands for a limited resource, what water conservation strategies would you like to see implemented by Water District 7?
How about meters? I'm looking at, we're a metered system, but how much you use a day? If people could be aware of how much they use a month, and then if they're over-allocating or overusing it, if they can get just a notice in the mail or what have you, something with their bill or one way or another, so that they can actually pull back a little bit. I do know that what they're talking about when you research water mains is you have a couple of different levels, and one is you get maybe allocated 250 gallons a month indoor use, and the second B plan would be 275 indoor, 25 outdoor. So,
Thank you.
I'd like to see something like that implemented.
How would you balance customer water rates with infrastructure needs, especially in light of long-deferred improvements?
Well, you know, one way is through grants. I know I've actually met some of you guys at the meetings, but you know, I've attended a seminar, you know, about applying for grants, what have you. We need to have ways of offsetting what income we bring in through dues or through you know, the fees for delivery of water. But anyway, we can offset and to increase that with outside grants will be a plus. Also, occasionally there's a need, you know, for some type of one-time fee, you know, to bring additional income in, because we do have a very limited amount of money that comes in on a monthly basis.
Thank you. It's going to be your last question.
Okay.
Can you please describe to the audience Water District 7's service area? How many residents or lots did it serve, and possibly could serve, and how many full-time residents, if you know?
I don't know the full-time residents, but it's increasing. If you've been to Sunlight Waters recently, you wouldn't believe how much building is going on there. I mean, we're talking a lot of building. There's probably at least 10 or 12 new home constructions going up as we speak. As far as metered permanent water connections, right now we have 225. With some of the properties, there are multiple lots, so they have one water meter per lot. But if it was to be at full capacity, I think we have about 69 hookups that would need to be filled if we were to get an increase. I think at 293%.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You can make your closing statement if you would.
Great. Well, like I say, it's been a privilege to be here. I've enjoyed this process. I hope people will vote on what I can bring to the table, not be a popularity contest. I feel I've showed a real dedication as far as how important this is to me and what I have to offer. I'm a very reliable, very honest person. I have an elected official in my family who is very well thought of, and she shows great integrity, and she's a county clerk, and I have a lot of respect for her, and she's been a good example to me. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking the candidates. We're going to take a short break to reset the video and allow the Roslyn mayoral candidates to come forward. Running for Roslyn City Mayor tonight are Brent Pauls, the incumbent, and Doug Johnson. We'll start with their opening statements. Brent, you get to go first.
My name is Brent House, and I'm the mayor of Roslyn currently. I welcome you all, and I thank the women voters for holding this. I've been in Kittitas County for about 35 years. I've lived in Roslyn for about 25 years. I have 2 bachelor degrees from Central Washington University. I literally moved to Roslyn to raise my child because I did not like the bigger cities that I had lived in, like Ellensburg, and for a short period of time, Seattle. And so I fell in love with the town, and I've stayed ever since. I ran a business in Cle Elum for 3 years. I've worked for a software company in Cle Elum for the last 20 years. And I just enjoy the area so much that when the opportunity came and 2 mayors resigned in a row, I decided that I would apply at that point. I was appointed by council, and then luckily elected after that by the citizens of Roslyn. And I would like to serve a full 4-year term now that I've finished one of the resigning mayor's terms coming up, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug.
Thanks to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this event. Since 1975, I have taught in 4 county schools, most recently at Cle Elum High School. I have fought wildfire, been a timber thinner, and a building contractor. I have run 3 small businesses and served on city council in the 1980s and 1990s. As mayor, I will establish an administration of transparency, clarity, cooperation, and communication. I will work with the full community on challenges we face. One of these challenges is the threat of wildfire. We will reduce this threat through continuing fuels management in and around town and preparation for action and evacuation in the event of fire. We're experiencing unprecedented growth in Roslyn and the surrounding area. Managing this growth requires us to be nimble and resilient in reacting to a constantly changing situation. For example, together we can address the pressure on infrastructure, parking, and the effects of houses converting to the rental market. We can also address affordable housing problem with easier access to ADUs, partly through making it easier and cheaper to provide utilities to accessory dwellings, including the once historic and prevalent bachelor houses. There are many other issues needing ongoing attention. One of these is the value and morale of city staff, the fire department, and of the Planning and Historical Preservation Commission and the Citizens Advisory Committee. With the growth issues we are facing, the Planning Commission work situation is especially important. The work of this commission needs to be celebrated and return to its former, more robust condition. I will work along these lines to validate its work and concurrently get us on track to streamline work so applications don't take excessive time to process. These important issues required steady administrative leadership and oversight. I'm retired. I can devote time necessary to address multiple complex and nuanced problems confronting the city. I will build trust with all shareholders in this grand endeavor that we call Roswell. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, since you were here for the primary race, some of these questions may sound familiar to you. Hopefully we'll have some new ones. We're going to take turns asking and answering questions. So let's start with Doug on this one. How do you think our city is going to increase revenue to support the increasing demand for services?
Well, there are always an increasing demand for services, and costs always go up. In 1975, we paid $17.50 for our water and sewer bill, and now it's $125 or so. We can increase revenue also by increasing business in town. We can establish a business park, possibly east of the City Hall. We can listen to the Rosslyn Downtown Association and their ideas for improving the economic situations in Rosslyn. In this way, we can get more money coming into the city.
Thank you. Brent?
Well, I agree with everything you said. When there is an increase for services, that means there's an increase in people, which also increases the amount of ratepayers. So that in itself kind of takes care of it itself. Certainly new businesses would increase the revenue, and I absolutely agree that that would be a wonderful thing for all of Rosslyn. It's kind of up to the owners of the properties to create new business or expand the business that they already have. The area behind City Hall absolutely would be great as a light industrial area for businesses that we haven't seen, and I think that there could be quite a bit of tax revenue and generated type of revenues there. Revenue in a municipality is always going to be an issue, and especially in a smaller town. And I think that staff and council does their best to try to find ways to increase it, and we all will continue to do that.
Thank you. Brent, this one's for you to start with. Our brand new sidewalks are crumbling. How can the city seek restitution?
It is true over by Harper's that there was a little bit of a failure from the concrete, but most of the new sidewalks look great and are functioning properly. The ADA accessibility is fantastic. I'm very proud of how they turned out. If there does need to be sidewalk replacement for safety issues, public access, we certainly will do that as it comes up. But I would certainly not designate them as a problem.
Thank you. Doug?
I would hope that any contractors that work in the city do a quality job, of course, and if they don't, they should be responsible for repairing the damage that is occurring. I think the sidewalks look great too. I know there have been a few problems, especially outside of the base camp, and those problems are being addressed in the city council meetings from what I've been hearing here.
Thank you. Okay, Doug, it's your turn to go first. There are currently openings on both the Citizens Advisory Committee and the Planning and Historic Preservation Commission. The mayor appoints new members. Do you think the chairpersons of the CAC and Planning Commission should also have a role in the appointments? Or what weight would you give their opinions?
I would give their opinion a lot of weight, and also the current members. The people on those committees are the experts on those committees, and they would know what we need to do. So I would definitely confer with the chairman or chairwoman, as the case may be, and with the members on the committee and see what kind of person they want. hopefully we can interview the applicants, and it has to be a collaborative, communicating type of situation.
Thank you. Brent?
Yeah, I totally agree with them. Every time I've appointed anybody, as I've been mayor for 2 years, I've talked to the chairman of each of those two commission and committee. They're absolutely involved. If they felt that they wanted to involve the other members in a decision, then that would be fine. We've filled every position with the applicants that we've had. So it's not like we're turning people away. So the fact that there is openings on each of them, one opening or maybe two on CSC, is just, we're just waiting for people to apply. And absolutely, I would talk to Peg about who steps up.
Okay, thank you. Brent, you get to go first this time. Do you support passage of a city resolution that would enable Roslyn to receive part of the existing sales tax collected in the city to help address affordable housing issues?
Yeah, I absolutely would. I mean, that just seems kind of a no-brainer. I know the council is going to address that next Tuesday, and we're working towards those kind of things that, it's another revenue source, and certainly the city of Roslyn will never ignore a possible revenue source, especially for something important like affordable housing.
Thank you. Doug?
Of course I agree with that. When I moved here in 1975, I was paid $9,000 a year to teach school. I bought a house for $12,000. 3 years later, I bought a house for $10,000. So 1 year's teacher salary would buy a house. Now a beginning teacher probably makes $40,000, but the house costs $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. Affordable housing is a critical issue. We haven't been able to, salaries don't keep up with what houses cost around here, so we can find a way to get a little more income to increase affordable housing. I'm all for it.
Thank you. So Doug, you get to go first. How important do you feel Roslyn's historic integrity is, and why?
Well, the why is why I'm here. The historical integrity is what attracted many of us to this area, to the town of Roslyn. I noticed it when I was 12 years old, when my parents brought me through town to go to San Jose. So I think historical integrity is of critical importance. It's what makes Roslyn what it is. And it's what brings people here. It brings a lot of economic activity here. So I would say historical integrity is of primary importance to Roslyn. Its economy, the people that live here, and the people that visit here.
Thank you. Brent?
And of course, that's the exact correct answer. And I agree with that. It is also what drew me to Roslyn, and it's what keeps me in Roslyn for 25 years. I mean, there's lots of opportunity to go elsewhere, but I love this town. So I couldn't imagine that if it were to be more modern and not be the same.
Thank you. Brent, you get to go first. Will you consider significantly raising permitting fees to cover the cost of new construction and development?
Well, significantly, I certainly would consider it, but, obviously that would be a decision the council would make, but we recently looked at our fee structures, and I believe that we have increased some to fall more in line with towns of our size, as well as towns in the area like Ellensburg and Cle Elum. But absolutely, I mean, whatever it takes to keep the budget balanced, we would absolutely do it, and certainly we're going through a period of growth where there is more and more building, and if fees need to be raised to be appropriate, that's fine. Ultimately, I believe that the fees need to be the exact amount that covers staff time and it covers the city's costs. We're not allowed to really make a profit on fees, on building, and things like that. So we have to make sure that we're covering our costs, and that's why we've done at least one study since I've been here, in just 2 years.
Thank you. Doug?
Well, I feel that the fees should cover the costs that come with new buildings, but I don't think we should significantly raise fees just to get more money that way. It costs enough to build a place already. I've done it myself a couple times, and it's extremely expensive. So I would make reasonable fee increases necessary as inflation dictates.
Thank you. Doug? What immediate steps would you take to make the Roslyn website current and accessible to the public if you are elected?
Well, the Roslyn website is getting better, but it's still a little bit difficult to manage, and you still can't always get current meeting minutes and things like that. So I would hire whoever we need to hire to get it done. I know that they're working on it. The website is And I think it's a very important way, because I've tried many times to find the meeting minutes of the previous meetings on the website. It is getting more current as we speak.
Thank you. Brett?
That's right. I appreciate you noticing that. And we do work on that all the time. And council, I think, has even put that more money in the budget. I mean, we're looking at revamping the website, but I mean, it is a complicated matter with all the records and things that we have attached, link by link, to the different pages. So a full revamp of the website is costly. So currently the plan is where we're at is we're trying to make it more timely, as you mentioned, and we'll continue to do that until it's in the budget to redo the entire front end.
Thank you. Brent, do you feel the Roslyn Mayor and Council should work on the 2020 city budget in the last 6 weeks of 2019, or would it be better to start and finish sooner?
Absolutely sooner. I mean, we're working on it right now. The administrative committee has already started going over the budget amendment for this year and the budget needs of staff and the different committees for next year. Staff is actually working on the budget right now, and as of next week, we will be going it over. So waiting until the last minute has never been my plan, and it won't happen under my administration.
Thank you. Doug?
Well, I think it's better if you can get it done earlier, but we've got a great staff and they're busy. We have to go with what they can get done, when they can get done, and when we can have meetings. I've been to several budget meetings, and it's a lengthy and complicated and nuanced project figuring out the budget every year. So get it done as soon as you can and go from there.
Thank you. Doug, Upper Kittitas County used to be known as the ORV capital of Washington. Could be you, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there conversations with the conservatory to balance recreation with conservation?
Will you repeat the last part of that?
Are there conversations with the conservatory to balance recreation with conservation? Or do you recommend them? Yes.
Well, sure, I'd recommend conversations to balance recreation with conservation. We need to communicate about everything. We need to communicate with ORV users. We need to make it work so that everybody can get a great environment. We need to have a healthy forest. We need to have nice trails that aren't eroded. I remember the sound up until the early 1990s of motorcycles roaring all over Roslyn, the slate piles, the ridge, and I remember the ruts on the ridge. I would like to protect the ridge from ORV use. ORVs can be used in many parts of the Tanaway. I hike there all the time and I see them, and I see the results of their driving around there too. But of course we need to communicate about conservation, about balancing different people's needs and recreational styles.
Thank you. Brett?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's nowhere in the Roslyn Urban Forest or in the city of Roslyn that you're allowed to ride an ORV. So I know that it was prevalent in the 70s and 80s, and that was removed quite a while ago. So they can go to Tanaway, they can go up above Liberty and Jeep and do those kind of things. But I think that the city of Roslyn, even pre-us, have done a great job of limiting that and limiting.
Thank you. Brent? Would annexing Ronald with Roslyn be a good benefit to both cities?
That's a really interesting question. I think it could be a benefit to the city of Roslyn. We obviously share a sewer system and a water system, so there really is nothing that we would have to change other than we would be taking taxes away from the county. And I don't know how popular that would be with the county. And really it would be something for the citizens of Ronald to decide, I would think, even though they don't have a voting kind of situation up there. I mean, if Ronald were to come to the city of Roslyn and ask for that, I would be all for it. But I'm pretty sure that the Kittitas County would probably be against it.
Thank you. Doug?
As things stand right now, I would not be in favor of annexing Ronald. However, if we could start a conversation if they're interested in doing that. I always believe that we need to talk to all shareholders in any issue, and I would be open to any kind of discussion. But as I said at present, I don't see it being a good thing for the city of Roslyn.
Thank you. So it appears you both have comparable views on several topics we've discussed here tonight. Please identify one or two ways you feel you're different from your opponent.
Well, I'm retired and I'm older. And I have a lot of time during the day. I could go to committee meetings and commission meetings. That's the main difference would be that I am retired and I have time to go down and visit staff and all the people in Roslyn and see what they think and what they want done.
Thank you. Brent?
You know, I don't know that we do have a lot of differences. I mean, I've known Doug for quite a while. I know his family. I'm close friends with a couple of members of his family, and we both love Roslyn, and we both are doing this for basically the same reason, to protect the city we love. So I really can't think of anything.
Thank you. Brent, how are we going to maintain our identity as a small mountain town if the Bullfrog Flats proposal goes through?
Well, I was hoping, I don't know the answer to that. I think, I heard about this proposal a little bit before people saw it on Facebook, and it flabbergasted me. I don't understand how the infrastructure of this area can handle something like that, but, I was here when Trend West started, and everybody was concerned then about how the infrastructure here was going to handle it. So I guess they have to go through all their hoops, and they have to do their environmental impacts, and they have to convince the county and the cities that what they want to do is appropriate and can be handled.
Thank you. Doug?
It's going to be tough to maintain the atmosphere of Roslyn if we get 1,000 new homes in there, which means 2,000 or 3,000 more people living within 2 or 3 miles of Roslyn. There are going to be issues of our night sky darkness. There are going to be issues of air pollution, of traffic. We already have issues of traffic. There's going to be issues of noise. In 1975, my brother came to visit me here on a Sunday afternoon, and I lived up on Alaska Street. He drove all the way through town and down Pennsylvania and up to my house, and he said, "This is one dead town." The only living thing I saw driving all the way up to your house, which is all the way through Roslyn, was a dog sleeping in the middle of the street. So things have changed, and they're changing fast. I think it's going to be a difficult issue, and we're going to have to do a lot of communication and a lot of collaboration and figure out how to maintain things like our night sky, our clean air, our water, the noise problems.
Thank you. If you are not elected, what city issue or idea will you continue to work on, if any?
I'm interested in the CAC, which is the Citizens Advisory Committee on the forest lands around Roslyn. I have hiked, biked, skied over 2,000 times on the ridge of Roslyn, and I continue to do so many times per week. So that is one of my main interests about the city of Roslyn.
Thank you. Brent?
I agree with that. I would certainly continue to come forward and try to keep the forest healthy. And obviously the water transmission line replacement is something that we absolutely need to do. So if I was not elected, I would continue to go to council and suggest that they keep moving forward.
Thank you. How do you feel about dark sky ordinances inside the city limits?
I'm absolutely in favor of that. I said that to the Planning and Historic Preservation Commission, and as soon as we can get that ordinance passed, I'm all that what's going to happen.
Thank you. Doug?
Well, I just brought that subject up for a reason, because I think it's very important. I grew up in the suburbs of Seattle, and I watched the sky change over 18 years. It changed to where you couldn't see the Milky Way anymore. So dark sky ordinance is a great thing. I appreciate the work that the Ridge Committee did to get dark sky into the Suncadia Resort.
Thank you. Do you think it will be important for Roslyn to participate in Cle Elum's planning for Bullfrog development?
I don't think we have a lot of power there, but it definitely would be important, especially if we were asked to participate in those discussions, because we have an interest in what happens out there. The Bullfrog planned development, 47 degrees north, is only 2 or 3 miles from Roslyn. So, yeah, if Cle Elum would talk to us about it, that'd be great.
Thank you. Brent?
Yeah, totally agree. We're going to try to be at the table. We're going to do our best to be at the table. And I'm sure Cle Elum is going to be a good neighbor and listen to us, as well as the county, because the county will be involved as well. And for sure. We want to have our voice heard.
Thank you. What is your vision of Roslyn in the next 5 years?
With the next 5 years, I really want to continue to try to control the growth that we're seeing. I mean, obviously, we're getting X amount of new homes built and X amount of business changeover. And, I just want to make sure that as that continues, because it will, that we do our best to make sure they do follow all the historical guidelines and that they do be the best neighbors that they can be as new people join us or new businesses come and serve our people.
Thank you. Doug?
My vision for the next 5 years is that Roslyn maintains the character that it has, that we continue to infill the city. We have about 200 building lots left, and that I would expect to see more additional accessory dwelling units, so we can, and the bachelor houses I spoke of earlier, so that we can make more affordable housing. I would hope to see a continuing thriving business community, possibly expanding, and a great place to visit and a great place to live.
Thank you. This is going to sound familiar. State Highway 903 is a 2-lane road that runs through Roslyn and is the only exit for people living in Ronald and beyond. Is Roslyn important in ensuring a safe exit in case a wildfire requires evacuation, and what should its role be?
Is Roslyn important?
Right, is Roslyn, what is Roslyn's role in ensuring a safe exit in case of evacuation?
Roslyn's the way out of town. You turn both lanes of 903, headed south. Use the coal miner trail as necessary. And it isn't the only exit out of Roslyn. There are ways to get on the Centennial's property from Roslyn if we can get keys to the gates and make agreements with them in the event of a catastrophic exodus situation.
Thank you. Brent?
Yes, that's all correct. And there's above the lake, they can also access the Sancadia property right below Spelia and below the dam. So there are other alternatives. I do want to punch through behind the fire department to South 8th Street and create a better emergency egress, rather than using 2nd Street, which is our current comp plan egress. That road is very hilly and kind of one lane. And so, if we're going to try to get emergency vehicles in and out and panicked people in and out, 2nd Street is probably the worst way to get out. So that's why I really want to make the South 8th Street our new exit as far as emergency egress goes.
Thank you. What zoning or city policy would you change and why?
I've been elected and I've been there 2 years, and it's not my job to change policy. So I would just continue to work with staff and help staff when I can. And then when policy changes come to council, I will listen to what they want, and we'll record their votes and we'll change as they change.
Thank you. Doug?
I would like to continue to work with the planning commission to streamline things, to get things defined, to be nimble, as I said earlier, because things are constantly changing. That is one focus that I would have as mayor of the city.
Thank you. We sort of danced around this a little bit this evening. This one just says, so what do you think is the biggest challenge facing Roslyn right now, and how would you address it as mayor?
The biggest challenge facing Roslyn is the threat of catastrophic wildfire. And we are taking steps to address that on the ridge. We need to work in the city too. We need to figure out egress, as we just talked about. So it is a multifaceted problem. One thing about that problem that we need to address right away is the health of the forests. We have trees dying in the forest. I know that there's talk about whether to cut the trees down or not. So we need to get good professional advice on these issues so that we can continue to survive as a town and be a great place to live.
Thank you. Brent?
I absolutely agree that the threat of wildfire is the most important thing. Our forester has addressed the dead trees, and we are going to cut them down. There's different times of the year that we're going to be able to do that, and it is going to happen. We can't just leave them up there. since we both agree on fire, I would say probably pedestrian safety would be, maybe 1A as important. The people coming in and out of town on the weekends, the speeds are just increasing. I want to make the speed limit in the entire city 25 miles an hour. So that includes before the A&J or Coal Chute restaurant. And so we've called DOT probably every 6 months since I've been mayor. We continue to request that. The previous chief of police was supportive and also helped us in those communications. And the current police chief in Cle Elum has also discussed it with me. So not that people coming on Sunday down the hill would slow down, but we're going to do everything we can.
Thank you. How do you propose to fix the strangled traffic in the downtown core?
Well, and Doug and I get these same questions every time. And as we've said, I think we need to enhance the agreements that we have with Suncadia. We need to increase the signage to help people know where they can park legally and safely outside of the downtown. We need to better help the people that aren't familiar with the area where they can go and park their trailers, where they can go and park their cars, and easily walk to downtown. Here in Seattle, it's no big deal to walk 6 blocks to where you want to go. But apparently in Roslyn, if you're 1 block away from downtown, you're just going to illegally park at the first thing you see. And obviously then it becomes an enforcement problem. And I make a lot of conversations with law enforcement about those kind of things.
Thank you. Doug?
Good answer. Yeah, establish another parking lot like the one we have east of town, or behind the city hall. Encourage walking into town, better signage, more signage, make it easy to figure out where to park so that we can get into town and not be clogging up the town with cars all over the place looking for places to park and parking all the way up to my house on 3rd Street. So I think it's doable. If we put 3,000 more people in a couple miles from town, we're going to have to revisit the whole thing.
Thank you. Is global warming a concern for our town? And if it is, what is your vision for Roslyn's response?
Global warming is a concern for every town, every village, every country, every place in the world. It's a serious concern that's happening. And 5 years ago, we put solar panels on our roof. We would encourage doing those kinds of renewable energy projects. It would be nice to have a solar panel manufacturing place, a little industrial park behind town. Global warming is causing the problems on the ridge. It's going to continue to cause them. They're going to continue to get worse as far as the forests go. So I think we all need to be savvy about what's happening with global warming. Cle Elum has just got a new electric powered truck, a small vehicle they can use getting around town. Perhaps we could go that direction. But I think global warming is one of the key existential problems in the world today, and the city needs to do everything we can to address it.
Thank you. Brent?
Yes, I agree with all of that. I do. We have talked to Mayor McGowan and a little bit with council about putting a solar farm back by our overflow ponds behind the dump there. So, that would be something that the city ourselves could do to help the problem. There's no question it comes down to personal responsibilities, and people need to do recycling and use as much green energy as they can on their own. We're all in it together for sure.
Thank you. What can be done to enhance a sense of community in Roslyn so all residents not only feel respected and included, but also feel they have a voice in the city?
Well, I'm sorry if people don't feel like they have a voice in the city, because our staff and myself always tries to listen, always tries to include everyone. And I don't know that I've ever lived in a community that has a better sense of community than Roslyn. So for to imply that we've lost it or that it's gone away, it doesn't make any sense to me, and I completely disagree with that synopsis of the city of Roslyn.
Thank you. Doug?
I've always felt a sense of community here. I think it could be enhanced in a few ways. We could invite people to come in and do the comments from the public early in the council meetings. I would like to see us allow people to have 5 minutes to speak like Cle Elum does instead of just 3 minutes that we have. And as much research, much reaching out as we can do, as a city government towards the citizens, like flyers along with the bills and posting what's happening in the city. Those kinds of things can enhance a sense of community. But I agree with Brent. I think we have a good sense of community now, and we can always work on making it better.
Thank you. How would you finance the water and storm projects that are expensive and long overdue?
Well, again, when I moved here, it was $17.50 for a water bill. Now it's over $120. Of course, inflation is going to, we're going to have to pay more in our water bills to finance new projects. That's just the way it works. Costs go up, people's salaries go up, equipment goes up. There will have to be some increase as we go along, just like there have been, of over $100 in just 44 years, which is about 5 or 6 times what it used to be. We can also reach out to government agencies that supply grants for these kinds of things and research and find out where we can get money that way.
Thank you. Brent?
Yeah, absolutely. Grants are going to be the way that you would want to do that for the storm and the water. We have already acquired, I believe, a grant for overall storm beyond what the studies that we had done, I think 10 years ago. We're finishing up one more project, the Penn Place bottleneck, and now we're going to have a holistic look at the entire system and figure out, where the next steps are. I believe that's already funded. And then the funding of the transmission line, we're still working on that, but that will definitely be a combination of grants and matching. We just, like I said, we have to do research and find the money.
Thank you. Roslyn is currently borrowing from its reserves to fund daily operations, including staff wages. Since this is not sustainable long-term, how are you planning to fix this?
Roslyn does not borrow from ourselves to pay our staff. I don't know who's passing that information around, but that is completely not true. We recently have been reimbursed from FEMA for the fire break that we have, and our reserves are back to a normal level. And the borrowing we did for the fire break will be paid in full this year, or 2020 basically, when we put that budget together. And then now everybody will be able to see that when the budget comes out.
Thank you. Doug?
Well, it doesn't sound like we're borrowing money to pay staff members, and that's a good thing. We are getting the FEMA grant, the FEMA money back, $300,000? $270,000, and that will really boost our reserve, which we need to take care of. We budget at home, and I think we need to budget as a city. We need to always have a healthy reserve waiting for us if we need it.
Thank you. What is your stance on the draining Lake Kittitas proposal?
That's a complex issue. They're going to drain the lake down 80 feet. And there are a lot of people, including my sister, who live up by Lake Kittitas. Well, she has property there. In Normandy Park, Washington, there are signs, don't drain Lake Kittitas. And so there are people with an interest there that have money on the west side. There are some advantages to draining Lake Kittitas. We could supply colder water to the fish in the fall, and they need the cold water, the salmon need cold water to survive. So it's a complicated problem, and we'd have to do a lot more research on it. I'm not so sure that Roslyn has a lot of sway in what happens in Lake Kittitas.
Thank you. Brent?
Yes, Roslyn doesn't have any sway as far as I know. If somebody were to ask me a question, and I think it's a federal project, I certainly would say, what's best for the salmon is appropriate. But I'm not sure whether the question came up both nights.
Thank you. Well, we've sort of gotten through most of the questions for the evening, so I think we're going to plunge straight to closing statements. Yeah, Doug, you want to go first this time?
The job of mayor is a job of leadership. Leadership is about prioritizing, organizing, delegating, asking, listening, acting. We have great people in Roslyn. They're on council, and they're on staff, and they're in committees, and they're members of the citizenry. Our staff, council members, firefighters, aid workers, police officers, and committee members know their jobs. They are the experts. As mayor, I will ask and listen and give them the support they need. They show up every day, many of them volunteers and employees putting in extra time, thought, and effort. I will do the same. I will show up. That's how problems are solved. and that's what leadership looks like. Working in concert with those on the front lines doing the work day in and day out. That's how we get it done for the people of Roslyn. Thanks again to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this event. Thank you for coming to this event. Thanks to all those who run for office for these essentially volunteer positions. Thanks for caring and thanks for voting. This is how democracy looks.
Thank you. Brent?
I'd like to also thank the League of Women Voters and all the folks that came and all the people online. I'd like to think that I am a leader that's right now. So I don't know really, what to say to everybody other than please vote for me. I feel like I'm doing a great job, and I really enjoy the city of Roslyn, and it means so much to me to do my part at this time. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So right now we're going to go through our thank you list, and then we'll have a big round of applause. We want to thank the Putnam Centennial Center for generously donating this space for the event, as well as providing coffee and water. We want to thank the League and community members here tonight who volunteered, and if you support these events, and especially if you want them to continue, please feel free to drop a donation in our hat back on the literature table. Don't forget to visit our 2019 Voters Guide on our website at kittitasleague.org. It goes live on the 18th. We'll link to the campaigns, sites of the candidates, their financial filings, if any, this video, their candidate questionnaire responses. So there'll be a lot of information there. We urge you to check it out and to share it. And most of all, thanks to all the candidates who came here tonight, who've chosen to step forward and run for elected office. Time, effort, and money are involved in their candidacy, and we wish them every success. Let's give them a hand.